Hey everybody, welcome to another World of Warships replay, and if the last match was all about use of long-range torpedoes over guns, then this is the absolute opposite. This is the Tier 7 US Premium Destroyer, the USS Sims. It has really short-range torpedoes and really good fast-firing guns in very rapidly traversing turrets, so it's almost the exact opposite of the Fubuki. Now, because of the very short range of torpedoes, I think it's 5.5 kilometers from the top of my head, you can't really use them as your primary weapon unless you ambush people, and you can ambush people quite successfully with the Sims, but it's also very good at using its guns. Now, while 127mm guns might not sound like they can do a lot
anti-aircraft guns and secondary armament disabled.
Enemy battleships, they can certainly lay down a lot of HE very quickly, and with the recent changes to HE and AP mechanics, HE is actually really good. And so the US destroyers, especially at the higher tiers where they have a lot of 5-inch guns, are now just disgusting at nuking battleships from long range. If you get 2 or 3 of these guys focus firing a battleship, they can just have it on fire constantly, which will not do the battleship any favours at all. Of course, because of the short range of the torps, there is absolutely no point blasting a couple across the map at the start. They won't even get halfway there. So far our team's kind of split up pretty evenly. It doesn't look too bad. We have 1 enemy ship spotted so far, a battleship. Looks AFK. Oh, actually, no, he's not. He's just charging straight down the middle, because why not? And already there is a ship within my gun range, a Mogami. Mogami's pretty scary to me. It's got a lot of guns, and it's quite fast. Certainly one of the better cruisers in the game. It's almost like a Japanese Cleveland. Second Mogami spotted in the west, supporting an enemy destroyer. The enemy Sims, in fact. Can't do anything to either of them at the moment, and this guy's about to go behind an island. Benson looses off some torps down the channel, but loses a lot of hit points to do it. The Benson is very similar to the Sims, and so they do play together quite well. In fact, most of the higher tier US destroyers are very similar. The only real difference is the range of their torpedoes. You don't get good torp range until you get into the Fletcher and the gearing. Benson's already picked up a kill there. Looks like he managed to snag one of the enemy destroyers. And the Mogami runs himself aground. Good job. That torp's going to run out of range before it gets to him, as you just saw. Again, this is the problem with the US destroyers. But he's pretty much a static target, and the two of us are pumping HE rounds onto him as fast as we can possibly load them. And one of the best advantages the US destroyers have is the turret traverse speed. Their turrets traverse really quickly. It is something you really just can't underestimate when you're driving a destroyer. You need guns that can keep up with your turn rate. If you try and juke around and make yourself a difficult target in a Japanese destroyer, you're not actually going to be able to hit anything because your turrets won't be able to catch up. Whereas in the US destroyers, you can swerve around like a madman and still fire your guns accurately. The other Mogami is cruising this way. Benson fires off more torps and begins opening up with his guns. Looks like the Mogami's paying attention to something else entirely. He's not even aiming this way. Not with his main guns, anyway. Fire off 2 spreads. Perhaps a little too far behind him. But it looks like he's going to turn into them, so I might pick up a hit here. Sure enough, one grazes his stern, knocks off a lot of hit points, and I'm able to start him flooding and burning at the same time. You don't want to be flooding and burning at the same time. It is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you in this game. Switch to AP for the finisher there. Looks like all those shots went straight into his engine rooms. And down he goes. Myself and the Benson are both still up. I lost a few hit points doing that. Benson's still sitting on half his health. If we're careful, we can make that little amount of hit points go quite a long way. Destroyer's main survivability advantage is their good camouflage and their good maneuverability. You're very difficult to hit, even at close range. You've just got to try and remember not to get in secondary range of some of these battleships, because they will eat you alive, especially the Japanese battleships. Enemy Congo's just out of my range, but he'll be within it in just a second here, and then I can open up on him with my guns. Enemy are down to 2 destroyers. One of them is a Sims, who's very nearly dead, and is in fact dead. And we now have a clusterfuck of battleships and cruisers over here. And there's the other enemy destroyer and Minikaze, who is very low on hit points. No point shooting at the Minikaze at the moment. He's going to be very difficult to hit from this range, and so I focus my attention on the Congo. The Minikaze can be dealt with later. Do land some hits on the Congo. Somebody else has just set him on fire. Looks like the Cleveland is dunking on him pretty hard, as Clevelands tend to do. The Cleveland's insane rate of fire, coupled with the strength of HE now, just makes it disgustingly good at burning ships down. Looks like the Congo's going to take a shot at me here. And he pulls into the enemy's smoke that was laid by the Minikaze. I know he's going to pop out somewhere in front of me, it's just a matter of when. So try and get myself set, pre-aim where I think he's going to pop out of the smoke, and I need to be ready to swerve before he can get shots into me. There he is. Take a big turn here to get some torps out. I know he's probably going to die before those get to him, but it's the thought that counts, right? The remainder of the enemy team's all bottled up here. And sure enough, down goes the Congo. Thankfully for me, their Minikaze has very considerately laid a nice curtain of smoke, so they can't actually see me thanks to their own destroyer. And this is why you got to be careful when using smoke screens. And I'm able to get some hits into the enemy Myoko as he chases after one of our ships. Incoming torps, probably the Miyoko's doing. Actually, nope, they are 2 tube spreads, so that is the Minikaze's doing. And there he is. He's spotted, so I quickly take the shot, land one, and that's going to finish him. Down he goes. Straight away, no time to waste. I shift back onto the Myoko before he can round this island and get into the relative safety of it. And he's burning. I leave him to burn for a while shifting my attention to the New York, who is heading this way and pointing all of his guns at me. Not a pleasant feeling. He also starts burning. Not a lot of damage going on him, but it's the fire that really does it. And it also helps keep him panicked. People tend not to make the best life choices while they're constantly under a wall of fire, even if it's not very effective. As Panzer 1C owners will know from playing that in World of Tanks. You can spam bullets at pubbies, and even though you might not kill them, they will just flip their shit and not know how to react. I dump torps at New York, but the Benson has got a much better sense of timing and manages to slam nearly a full spread into him. That was just gratuitous. Meanwhile, I've been able to sink the Myoko through fire. And so I begin working on the enemy New Mexico. get some hits into me there. Still got 20 seconds on my torps. I'm gonna have to rely on my guns for this and just hope that either he switches targets or my teammates are able to finish him off before he can reload. Not looking real good. At this kind of range, particularly because I'm not juking as much as I should be, he's not going to have any trouble at all hitting me. Well, he shouldn't, but puppies are puppies at the end of the day. I realise that I do need to start evading and begin to swerve, but oh dear god, that hurt a lot. Luckily for me, my damage control team is just coming off cooldown in time. And there we go. He's finished off by the Benson. Myself and this Benson have had a really good run this match. A really, really good run. Enemy Kitakami's here. I open fire, I get ready to shoot torps at him, but he goes down. He was finished off by our remaining cruisers, New Orleans. And I begin my turn just a little too late, unfortunately. In fact, or a little bit too early. If I'd either waited a little longer or turned earlier, I would have survived, but I managed to pick the one part of that torp spread that I could not get through. All the same though, I've been able to do quite a bit of harassing of the enemy battleships this match. Sunk myself some cruisers, had a good time. And it's a good show of what the US destroyers are about, whereas the Japanese are all about their torpedoes, the US destroyers are all about their guns. The US destroyers are more sort of your little cage fight ships, whereas the Japanese are your super sneaky sniper ships. I don't really like to use the term sniper in reference to World of Warships because it doesn't work out well, but you know what I mean. You want to engage from a safe distance and you want to be using concealment and your torpedoes to maximum effect.